Hey, I'm still in Florida. How you doing?
Yeah, and apparently you're too cold in your five-star hotel. I feel so bad for you.
Hey, if there's something out there, I can complain about it.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the number one show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody, welcome to No Vacancy Live. Of course, that's Anthony Melchiori. I'm Glenn Hausman, and I'm still at the O Palm Resort enjoying the My Place conference. But, Anthony, it's so good to see you. How's it going back in New York?
It's good to be seen. I cannot believe, I hate when people say this, but I cannot believe it's Labor Day.
Dude, seriously, it's not just Labor Day. It's September 1st, and I am so heartbroken by that whole notion. It was just May 1st when there was so much possibility out there and excitement, and now it's all coming to an
You know, the good news is
Yeah.
we're live and we're on this podcast, and you're
That's
in a lobby or something, right? So if anybody hears noise,
Yeah.
it's because you're in the lobby.
Yeah, unfortunately, the internet access in my room would not support us doing streaming video and stuff like that. So I tried to find a place down here. But Anthony, it is September 1st, and I'm here at the event, and what happened is that the American Hotel and Lodging Association has declared today National Hotel Employee Day. What do you think of that?
I think it's fantastic. Look, the more focus we can put on the employees, the better it is. And as you know, we're working on something cool, so hopefully that'll come to fruition. But listen, it's all about the employees, and and not to digress, but can I digress?
Here we go.
I was thinking about this a lot lately because of some things I'm working on, and
Right.
it's just horrible that it took an uprising of employees and COVID and so many other things for people to again quiet quit, which I hate that term because it's not quiet quit. They're like, I'm just going to do my job and I'm going to do it well, and anything extra we're going to talk about or you're going to pay me for. Wow. All of a sudden, that's a big thing. We should have set that up from the beginning. And the people that want to get promoted, and the people that want to make a lot more money, they'll do more, they'll work longer hours, and they'll outperform those people that are, quote, quiet quitting. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Like I say in my book, it's like there's like the people that want to come to work and go home Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and they want to retire in 30 years, but they're a violinist or they're a softball coach or whatever on the weekends. That's wonderful. Why is that a problem? Why is it that it took this moment in time for us to realize our employees aren't tools in a tool shed? And now, and what I also found very interesting, because I'm finding it within my company, that in the B and C markets, the average rate is actually higher than in the A markets because of the limited amount of people.
Right. Yeah. And we talked about that yesterday, for example. If you didn't catch our show with the good friends at My Place Hotels, be sure to check that out. Now, Anthony, I got some comments on what you just said. But before that, I did want to remind everybody that Radisson Hotels America right now is part of the Choice Hotels family. This is definitely the merger of the year, really brings two strong companies together into one unstoppable force. So now, better time than ever to invest in Radisson Hotels. Brands like Radisson Blue, Radisson Red, Country Inn, and Suites, they're all there for you to earn money, now powered by Choice Hotels. So, Anthony, in rebuttal to what you're saying, I think it took this for people to recognize what's going on, because it's a lot more than a policy change. It's a giant cultural shift and movement that's going on. I think people are starting to realize, particularly in the aftermath of COVID, that we can have more to our lives. We don't have to be tools, a cog in the machinery. And people are taking back, I think, their right to have a life outside of the workplace, something that was frowned upon. I remember you talking about early in your career, it was a matter of always being there and being as, working as hard as you possibly can. And that robbed you of time with your kids. The same thing happened with me with my kids. And I think that people are just saying, it's not worth it. Does that sound right to you?
No, well, it's a balance, right? And it's you. Like in the beginning of my career, I was building the concrete. Now, I say no to a lot of things, and I have a little bit more choice over my work schedule. I told you when I was doing all the shows, everybody wanted my schedule, and I was like, no, because in my contract I said my work schedule supersedes my TV schedule. So once they got my schedule, they'll see that like there's a lot of time that I wasn't working and I didn't have anything to do. I was home. I mean, there was weeks, months sometimes where I would just take off because I was shooting so much that when we were down and they wanted me to go in for something or do a meeting or whatever, or do a quick show or whatever, I'd be like, no, I'm not available. So you have choices, but it's really more in the management. I'll give you an example. Both my partner and my assistant in the last week said I was a little, on 2 phone calls, I was a little sassy. In other words, I was an asshole. And I wasn't sassy. I was holding people accountable. So there's 2 different. This is the problem. Having somebody want to just do what they need to do to get the job done and be really good employees and do what they're supposed to do, that's fine. You know, so you can be a little sassy with people to hold them accountable. You can't be abusive. And that's the thing that people don't understand. There's a difference between being very, very difficult to work for, and there's a difference of, I'm telling you straight up. This is like, I don't understand what you're saying to me. What you're saying is confusing to me. This is actually what I said. What you're saying is confusing to me, and I want to give you the best opportunity for us both to both be successful in this endeavor. So you have to be clear because I'm confused. Apparently, that's sassy. That's not sassy. That's direct. And so people are misconstruing holding people accountable and being respectful to being rude. So if you work for me and you're doing your job, but from time to time I'm like, dude, you're confusing me, and that's enough for you to get on medication, then that's a problem.
Right. It's interesting you should say that. Yeah, go on, please.
But also on the other side, there are bosses that are very rude. I just had a very close person close to me quit their job because the person was just aggressive and rude.
Yeah, and I will tell you what, the truth always lies somewhere in the middle. There's a reason why that statement is a cliche, and I think we live in a society that seems to have that pendulum swinging, right? While people deserve, because they are human beings, to have time to refresh like you were able to, and have a chance to focus on their family like we've been able to, I think then it starts to go too far. Right. And what you're talking about might be an example of how things go too far in the other direction. And then we need that kind of reset to kind of bring us back to the middle where the balance and the conversations behind it are more normalized.
Right. And what do you want? Right. This is what it really comes down to. It's what do you want? And in my book, matter of fact, today I may actually read you a paragraph from my book.
Yeah, cool.
We're at that stage where we're getting close to printing it. So we're at, like, what do you want? You can't have everything you want, but you can want what's the saying? You can't have everything.
You can't always get what you want, but you find sometimes you get what you need.
Right. There's a different thing. But what do you
want? I just Rolling Stones.
I think when you're clarifying, you have to clear in your mind, what do you want? Once you know what you want, then you can work to that level.
Right.
So I wanted to have control over my own destiny. It's a lot more stressful than going into work every single day and punching out and then getting a pension. But that's also, to me, 10 times more stressful. But my career is a lot more stressful for some people. So my point is, what do you want? And then work to that level. And your boss should be able to adapt to that. I was just down doing some work in Florida, and the people that I'm working with, they're wonderful. And I'm adapting my management style to the people I'm working with, and I catch myself. It's like, no, they're fine. They do it this way. I would do it that way. They're fine. And that's the problem. The problem isn't people are mediocre or exceptional. The problem is we don't know how to manage either. And when you learn how to manage people, things get easier. And I don't know if I'm saying anything, but I don't know.
No, I totally get what you mean. Now, listen, we've got a American Hotel and Lodging Industry State of the Industry report, but this is an opportunity for all of you out there to ask us questions. I see we already have one that's come in. If you have a great question for us, go ahead and ask. Now, Anthony, Sarah Castro is saying, hey, Anthony, what do I need to do to prepare myself to become a general manager?
Okay. So again, if that's what you want and you're like, okay, I'm understanding that I'm going to maybe have some weekends I have to work, some late nights, I have to take some phone calls, and I have to deal with a lot of employees that don't even show up for interviews. And I am signing up for something that is going to probably have some of my outside leisure time curtailed because of that. If you've been able to mentally prepare for that, then do everything you can to learn the job. Okay, do everything you can to get promoted into that job, and that is working more hours. That is saying yes all the time. That is showing up, on time. That's just doing everything you need to do. But as far as a skill set, I would say, what is the kind of hotel? So if you're doing a limited service hotel, you need to have a good understanding, especially for a brand. You have a good understanding of the front desk and how that audit works and how housekeeping works, and you're good. If you're talking about a full service brand or a full service with a brand that has food and beverage, you should know food and beverage a little bit. You should know revenue management a little bit, but the brands that support you, you're good. If you're talking about an independent hotel, limited service, same things apply, but you also need to understand P&L. You understand what the owner is important to the owner. If you're doing a full service hotel without a brand, then you really need to work in more departments. You need to work in food and beverage. You need to work in revenue management. You need to really get a grasp of really kind of the entire picture. So it really depends on what level you want to go to.
Right. I think that makes a lot of sense. Is there, for people that like they're in a world of, I don't know what I don't know, at a select service hotel, is there a first place to start so you can get in with the management?
Night audit.
Night audit. What is that? What does that do for you? I know a lot of people that have started in that department, but how does that really prepare you for those future opportunities?
Well, I was a night auditor for my first job, and basically what happens, you come in 11 o'clock. So 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night. So you read the red book, the shift sends everything to you and says, hey, this guest is checking in late. This guest wants an early check-in. Room 1203 had a flood. So you really start to understand the different components of the hotel. How do you deal with engineering? Was that flood taken care of? So you understand what's going on in the hotel. Then everything bubbles up to the front desk. So credit cards, food and beverage, everything's got to be balanced at the end of the night. So you see the charges, you see the room rates, you see everything. Once you get that all balanced out and you're putting out all these little fires, in the morning, you're setting up the day. And in limited service hotels, you're probably running the housekeeping reports. You're probably running the reports for the owner or for the general manager that are important for them, like checked out with a balance, adjustments, corrections, arrivals, VIPs, all that kind of stuff. And then you put together maybe a morning report that shows the occupancy, the average rate, and all that stuff for your bosses. So it really gives you an understanding of all aspects of the hotel. And so I always suggest starting at night audit.
That's interesting because a lot of people, outside of like housekeeping, they think like, front desk is really the way to go. What are some of the benefits to doing maybe front desk or detriments over that night audit position?
Well, night audit and front desk is the same thing because night audit,
they come out and they help if somebody needs something.
You're doing front desk duties. You're just kind of, you're getting paid a little bit more to do accounting duties and just kind of making sure at night the hotel's secure. So you have to be a front desk clerk to be a night auditor.
Right. All right. Interesting. Fascinating. So, all right. So I thought it would be cool to kind of go through this AHLA mid-year report that I just got my hands on, came out recently. Chip Rogers was here speaking at the My Place Hotels of America thing. So I had a chance to listen to what he had to say. And let's just go through the quick findings at a glance that they have right now, Anthony. According to this, hotel occupancy is expected to average 63.4% this year, which is approaching pre-pandemic levels. And nominal hotel room revenue is expected to surpass 2019 levels by the end of this year. And by the end of this year, hotels are expected to employ 1.97 million people, 84% of the pandemic, the workforce that was there. I got a few more stats, but what do you think about these numbers?
I'd like to know if that 16% of unemployment in the hotel business or reduction is the housekeeping, not cleaning rooms every day. I wonder if that really plays into it.
Yeah, and it is interesting because we were so used to looking at the raw numbers, but how many people do we actually need in 2022 entering 23 because of what you just said compared to what the industry standard was in 2019. So theoretically, if you're not counting new hotels open, then the overall job pool has shrunk a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. As far as average rates and occupancies, I'm not really in a position to say if that looks right or wrong. I'm sure it's very right.
Yeah.
But the forecast for the next 3 months is interesting because we're seeing in different markets softening, as I've said before, but maybe softening over 2021, not 2019, because, again, 2021, this time last year, we were stacking people on top of each other.
Yeah, and then in late November, Omicron hit, and it got into derailed. But I mean, this time of last year was amazing.
Think about last August.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
Oh, I am.
Last August, people that have never seen a plane before were hanging on the wing just to get to somewhere. And now with Europe opening and stuff, that's taking a lot of. But listen, I'm sure it's going to be it's going to finish strong. 2023 going into the election year is going to be a little interesting, and we'll see. We'll see if what they're doing with interest rates, and everybody's concerned, like they're always concerned. What's interesting, I guess having perspective of a 57-year-old, like it all comes back. Like we're living on high times, and everybody thinks it's going to last forever, but we always get kicked in the head, right?
Yeah,
like 3 weeks ago, everybody talked about it. Now I went to the pump this morning, and I paid $3.80 a gallon for a gas, and I'm like, okay, nobody's talking about gas anymore. So now people talk about interest rates. Then we won't talk about interest rates. Then the stock market. Then the gas prices. Then
that's right.
So there's always something. And in the hotel business, we learned in 2008, if you buy right and you buy the right real estate, you're probably going to be okay. And I think that really proved it during COVID.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
And one thing, I know Chip Rogers had to convince people that the hospitality business was a necessity because we were off of the what was that called? The necessity group. What was that?
The what do they call it? Essential workers.
Essential. So we were on the essential workers list, and now they realize. Yes, we shut down except for essential work. But when we opened, we were the busiest businesses in the world.
Right. Yeah.
So we're essential when everybody's staying home and we need to deal with medical and military. Mm-hmm. And when everybody opens, the first thing they want to do is go on vacation.
Right. Yeah, I also think, and Melissa, I see your question. Sarah, you've got another question. We'll get to those in just a minute. But what I think we see in general society, and particularly in the hospitality industry, because that's my milieu, is that whatever state of being we're in right now in regards to the financial health of the business is how people perceive it will always be. I've been through 5 major cycles myself, and it never surprises me that at the top of the market, people are convinced it's going to last forever. And when things go down, they don't think anything's ever going to be good again.
Well, listen, I was in a hotel that's been sold out for 2 years a couple of years ago, and they're like, the parking lot was empty. I go, hey, what's going on? They're like, we're so slow. I was like, how were you in 2017 during these weeks? They're like, oh, no, that's our slow time. We're always slow. But the rest of it used to be great. We don't know what's happening.
Right.
We don't know what's happening.
All right. So let's get to another question. Melissa's saying, hey, she's home recuperating from surgery. We hope you're doing better. And watching reruns of Hotel Impossible. She loves your passion. It's been in the industry 20 years. She now has her dream job as a portfolio revenue manager for IHG. Great company. Biggest challenge properties are seeing is finding staff that's engaged and passionate about hospitality. Any advice on recruitment and hiring?
Yes. I have a lot of advice, but I'm putting my money where my mouth is. And again, I can't be working on it. Glenn knows what we're working on. I can't really talk about it because it's not there yet. And it all could blow up in my face. But the answer is, don't move your camera when you don't have to, Anthony. Yeah. The answer is tried and true. You have to find good people. You have to put time into them. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot less people coming into the business, and the people you find, you better take care of. Yep. You better pay well, and you better make sure that they're getting a skill set. Mm-hmm. It's not so important because even the people you pay well and the people that like you, if they're not feeling like they're adding to their skill set, that's going to be a problem. So there's really nothing surprising or new in keeping people outside of, again, what we're talking about. You have to have flexible scheduling for them. You have to have a salary that meets the competitive, nature of this business right now. And you have to listen to people. Like when they leave at night, you have to say, how was your day? You have all the pencils you need. You have the uniform you need. I'm sorry that person called in sick this morning and you had to stay a little bit later. I apologize. That really sucks. But thank you so much for your effort. And it's real. I always say, I don't know people's babies' names and I don't know how many brothers and sisters they have. I may not even know their spouse's name, but I know if they're happy or not happy, or if they need a tool, they don't have a tool.
Right.
That's the kind of general manager you have to be, or the kind of boss you have to be. It's not necessary about if they like the Giants or not. It's necessary, are they fulfilled, and where you're asking them to give more, are they okay with giving more, and do they realize that more is going to elevate them to the next level?
Right. Yeah, great point. And interestingly enough, taking it back to Chip Rogers' comments this morning, they apparently have a program in place. Forgive me, I'm forgetting the exact name of it right now, but it's basically focusing on youth that feel disenfranchised, that may have had a little bit of trouble throughout their childhood growing up and stuff like that, and trying to identify and find those people that have that spark and spirit, and then train them and get them guaranteed jobs in the hospitality industry after a training course. And it's
that's called the Army.
Yeah, yeah, we could use a hospitality army for.
The Army's actually lowering their entry requirements
Really?
because they can't find people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you no longer need a high school diploma. I think you can get a GED in the Army. I'm not really sure. Let me not talk about what I don't know. Right. But that's what I heard.
So let's go to another question. Sarah's got another question for us. In your opinion, is the hospitality golden rule, the customer is always right, should be changed as the FD start to stand up for themselves and not taking disrespect from these guests? Yeah, there seems to be a.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. There seems to be an issue. Yes, the HLA Foundation. Thank you, Suzanne. She just put a note behind backstage on it. But what do you think about that? Because we were growing up, the customer's always right, customer's always right. But people these days, I just saw another video, someone being a total a-hole.
Listen, the person that said the customer's always right should be fired. Right. The customer isn't always right. The customer's wrong a lot. You have to make them feel like they're right. And that's an art. And that's why only certain people should be in this business, because I've only had to ask one guest to leave the hotel in my entire career. I've never had a bad comment written against me, and I've had, or my team, or that's not true completely, but against me, no one's ever written a bad comment. And I dealt with thousands of guests, especially at the Plaza early in my career. And I will tell you this, it's an art and it's not a science. But you don't take abuse. The one time I threw somebody out is because they abused my front desk manager. And I said, you've lost your ability to stay here, and you've lost your right to stay here, I should say. And I threw him out. And I threw him out nicely, but I threw him out. And so it's never okay to yell at a guest. It's never okay to go off on a guest, ever.
Yep.
But it's okay to say, I will not tolerate your language, and I will not tolerate the way you're speaking to me. I am going to remove myself from this situation now, and I will be back in a minute, and hopefully you will have calmed down. If you haven't, I've got to elevate this to the next level, and we may have you removed from the hotel. If you curse me out or curse my staff out, just that is straight up like you're gone. So, but it's never okay to yell at a guest because you're in charge of you. Like how many situations have you seen me on TV where people squared up on me, where people yelled at me, where people got in my face and wanted to kick my ass? Did you ever see me?
Well, you never escalated.
I never escalated. I square up and I'm very clear. I'm probably more clear in those situations than I am in most. And I de-escalate without losing respect. Right. And there's an art to that. And so, no, it's not. And there's classes and there's books and there's, matter of fact, if you read my book, there's a lot of things you can do. If you read Glenn's book, there's a lot of stories in there on how to, basically comport yourself in a position where you don't, if you're elevating it and you're like, I'll give you an example. We've all seen that TikTok video of the airline desk guy, punching an NFL football player. Okay, what? You punched him first. Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't care if he cursed your mother out. You don't punch people first.
No.
So the customer's not always right. They're wrong a lot. You have to make them feel like they're right. And this is another thing that really works against the hotel. And everybody that's ever worked at the front desk is going to raise their hand and agree with me, okay? When you're at the front desk and a guest is being rude or a guest is not getting what they want, a supervisor comes behind you and gives the guest exactly what they want right in front of you.
Oh.
There's nothing more demoralizing than kicking in the nuts, when you're at the front desk in front of a guest. Now, if you say, excuse me 1 second, you go in the back and you build a plan with that desk clerk and you say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. I know the guest is kind of not right here, but listen, we have a lot of fish to fry here. Let's not like deal with this right now. Let's give them, but you tell them, and I'll back you up. But if you don't want to do that, let's stay to the policy. But if we stay to the policy, we're going to be here for 25 minutes with this guest. So what do you want to do? How do you want to handle this? And never once has a desk receptionist ever said to me, no, I'm sticking to my guns. Never. They always say, okay, I understand. People just want to be respected.
Yep, that's true. And I want to apologize, Sora. I've been pronouncing your name wrong. I thought it was an A, not an O. So Sora Castro has been asking these great questions. So let's see. Michelle is saying, thank you goes a thank you goes a long way with associates and also knowing their personality style and what's really important to them. So it gets me thinking, do people all want to be praised in the same way? How do you do that in order to increase the motivation?
I honestly said, I thank you does go a long way, and it always will go a long way. But people, just like people don't care about, what the things we cared about, right? They don't care about maybe owning a home or going on vacation or free time. Maybe they want to go on vacation all the time and work from vacation.
Right.
Maybe they don't want a car. Like, people want different things than they wanted 30 years ago. But everybody wants to be respected. However, that attaboy is still not enough. You've got to understand what motivates them. No one's scared anymore. Let's just straighten that out. No one's scared of their boss, okay? Right. Everybody is realizing if they are scared, they have an out. It's called Uber Eats, Amazon, everything else. So they can get away, okay? Unless you're a mid-level manager and you're making really good money, you have a mortgage, you have a house and everything else, but you're in your basement building a pho company so you can then you can get away from your boss. So many options. And go ahead, I'll let you explain my pho.
We had an amazing guest on who was a hotelier who quit to create a pho business, and he's selling it on Amazon, and it's absolutely delicious.
Right. So my point being is, we may be scared, but we have options. We didn't have options. So you've got to tap into really what is again, you know me, I'm pretty direct, so I'm not going to take people's crap. I'm not going to say, well, today I would like lemonade and tomorrow, whatever. I'm not into a bunch of wussies, but I'm also really into what is making you happy and what doesn't make you happy. My job is to make you happy when you come to work. That your environment meets your needs. If you're just going to be a complainer, I will promote you to customer. But if you are willing to do the job, and I just need to be a little bit more sensitive and understanding. Listen, I never realized I was a person that wanted all the things that everybody else wants. Everybody always just labeled me as pain in the ass. I mean, that's literally my I think my title, pain in the ass. But I got away with it because I was the boss and I made money for the hotel. When you're a desk clerk or whatever, you just want what I want.
Yeah. True. All right. So you got me thinking, Anthony. You were talking about how you're being very direct. I'm also told I'm very direct as well. And I think a lot of that has to do with growing up in the New York City area, right? Now, let's take a look at Minnesota, where the reputation is Minnesota nice. So if you're not born to be as direct and forthcoming as we are, how do you think people could work through that a little bit more to tell people exactly what they mean without messing around and hurting people's feelings?
Everything I learned in kindergarten. Read that book. Did you read that book? Right. So read that book and it tells you how to do that. But with that said, also, do you want to? Like I told you, there 2 times this week I was called spicy on the phone. I didn't want to be not spicy. I wanted to be spicy. I wanted to get everybody's attention, and I did. And but when I'm managing a team, that team has got to have a goal.
Mm-hmm.
That goal has to be attainable. Even if they don't think it can be, you have to show them how it can be if we do these things. And typically people like doing tough things if they're doing it for a reason and if they're doing it as a team.
Right.
And if you have that goal and you set that in motion, pride will all of a sudden start happening. And once you have pride, those people, okay, that we're talking about, whether they're from Minnesota or New York or they will accept that's just Anthony. Mm-hmm. Hey, that's just Tom from Minnesota. Actually, the guy who trained me how to clean the room. He just talked really slow and like somebody from Minnesota, and it drove me crazy. But I say, like, so when people say Tom's driving me nuts, he just repeats himself. That's just Tom, man. He's just trying to do it for the team. So if you have a goal and you have a focus, like with a baseball team in World Series, you think Derek Jeter liked everybody? Right. Like Derek Jeter, if you weren't a winner, he basically ostracized you. So that wasn't the right way to do it, you know. But my point being is, if there is a goal and there's a focus, you that kind of allows you to let other people be them because you know they understand the goal. But not everybody gets things done the same way. You know, I laughed when you said some people think you're, you know, a little spicy. I sometimes think you're ridiculously unreasonable.
Right.
And like you'll write something or no, dude, you shouldn't write that. And you're like, no, I shouldn't write that. So whatever. So I give up and go, whatever you think is the right thing is the right thing. There's sometimes where, like, I wouldn't forgive you half the things that I do, like when I show up late or I forget to get on the podcast. Like, I'd be a lot more pissed off than you are at me. So when you do screw up, I'm a lot more sensitive because you're so sensitive to me. And so we're doing these things for each other without really even thinking we're doing this. So because we have the same goal and we have the same focus, is doing a good show all the time.
Yep.
The idiosyncrasies that we both come with are managed just because we have respect.
Yeah.
If you don't have respect, then it doesn't work.
Yep. That's funny. Kyle's observation is people throughout the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast love direct management, but as Anthony may know, Orlando, you need to be direct because those are big operations, but you need to speak that Disney nice as well. I think that could be a lesson to learn around the country, being direct but polite.
Listen, I ran Orlando Nickelodeon Hotel and Resorts.
Yep.
And those people just want to get paid, they want to be respected, and they want a mission. And they let me get away with my New York speak. So I don't believe that. I don't believe you have to talk Disney speak. I don't think you have to say please and thank you and respect people. If I happen to say, hey, Glenn, dude, really, what's going on here, man? You came in late 3 times.
Damn,
or
right.
you have to say, may I speak to you for a second? Right. It seems to me that you've been late 3 times. Can you just, I don't talk that way, and I'm not going to ever talk that way. I'm just going to say, hey, Glenn, what's up, bro? You need anything? Yeah. Now, if you don't like the way I speak, then fire me. But I'm respectful. I'm appreciative of maybe you have a problem.
Yep.
But so you don't have that. That's the problem. People who don't talk Disney speak try to talk Disney speak, and then they see insincere and inauthentic.
That's a really good point. So what you're really saying is find the best way to relate to people based on you, as well as how those people like to be receptive to a message. Now, dude, I like that attitude. Dude, you've been in 3 times late this week, because it doesn't feel like you're out to get me. It feels like you're trying to help me because you got my back.
If somebody says to me, so Anthony, it seems to me that you were late, like you're condescending to me. Yeah, now, also you have to understand something. Everybody that works at Disney went to Disney as a kid and wants to work at Disney. So they all speak in terms like that. I know my niece and a young lady who's very close to me, like another niece, she's working at Disney right now. Actually, she just went back to college, so she probably last week for the summer program. And she grew up in Disney, and she's Mickey Mouse. Actually, she played Mickey Mouse this year.
That's fun.
And she loves that environment, and she's a New Yorker. She's very direct. She has a bigger patty mouth than me, but she's able to speak the Disney speak, right? But it does, as long as people feel trusted and respected, let them speak the way they're going to speak, as long as they're respectful. That's the thing that I just have to drive and drive and drive. If you respect people, you can be yourself. The second you don't respect people, they're not going to listen to you, or they're going to listen to you just because you're their boss, and that's how you lose That's how you lose it. You know, I built world-class teams not because I'm really smart, it's because world-class teams want to be, oh, who did you recruit? You recruited somebody from this hotel? Yes. Oh my God. The Michelin-star chef? Yes. Oh my God. All right, I'll come. And that's how I build teams. I get the best of the best, and then they bring the best of the best. And when you're not the best of the best like me, you get out of their way and let them do it.
Yeah. All right. So today, Anthony, I think, and forget the HLA stuff. Today, our show is called Helping Sora. He's got another good question on his career path here. He said night audit is the best start. What should I start doing to start thinking, understanding, and learning so that I can take on more responsibility? I think he means like setting himself up to be able to get those jobs.
Well, I think Suzanne, our producer, this would be a good time for her to come on and give him some tools of where he can look to really educate himself.
Oh, yeah. She looks like she's getting prepared backstage. I'm going to bring her on. There you go. What do you think about that?
Educate me.
So if we're trying to get started, I think most programs, there are community colleges nearby. That would be a good opportunity to look at some entry-level courses, intro to hospitality, and get a little bit better scope of the industry. Another aspect is many institutions now are doing certification programs and micro-credentialing. There's also some certifications through American Hotel Lodging Association, specifically in rooms division operations. So it really becomes the time commitment that you have and where you want to take that a little step further.
Yeah. And maybe there'll be an announcement from me and Suzanne where we're going to be doing something like that we can help you out.
There very much could be very soon.
That's true. I think that's fantastic. Anything else that you want to add, Suzanne?
Put it back in the box. Bye, Suzanne.
All right.
Bye.
I love saying that. Thank you, Suzanne. Yeah, so hopefully that helped. Listen, there's an ingredient that will get you to the next level.
Yeah.
It's called working your ass off and talking to your boss.
Right.
Let them know your expectations. Let them know what you want. Don't talk to them in the middle of the day when they're busy. Get them when you know they have 10 minutes and say, hey, can I just talk to you? I really want to get to the next level. How do you think I should do that? I really admire you and really want to get to your position. Like, how do I do that? And if you have a really good boss, everybody likes talking about their career and themselves. Mm-hmm. They will listen to you. So it's not a secret. There's not one course. You know, I went from being a front desk clerk agent to being a general manager. The most experience I ever had in the hotel business was night audit, front desk management, front desk agent.
Right.
And you know what? No, I went from night manager to front desk supervisor. I was never a front desk agent, ever. And I never worked in housekeeping. I never worked in food and beverage. I never worked in revenue management. I never worked in sales. And I became a general manager because I'm a force of nature. And you have to become a force of nature where people have to see you, know you're there. And it takes a lot of hours. And it takes a lot of work. There's no secret. People want to trust you. And if they know, if they call you in on Sunday, say, hey, man, can you come in on Sunday? And you show up, they trust you. It comes down to trust, not skill level. People knew, you know, I have a PhD in figuring shit out. And once they realized that, they trusted me.
Yep. Yeah, they issue that at the corner of 81st and Ridge in Bay Ridge, by the way.
That's right. It's there's a PhD in figuring shit out. And you know, Eric Long, my greatest comment I ever got is Eric Long, the Waldorf Astoria legend, 20 years. So he was the president of the Waldorf Astoria for 20 years, and literally a living legend. And he said I was the most resourceful person he's ever met. So he gave me my PhD in figuring shit out, because when he said that, that's what that meant. That meant like just give him something to do, and he'll figure out. Because this is what I'm not afraid of. Yep. I'm not afraid of being wrong. I'm not afraid of not knowing. I'm not afraid to ask stupid questions. And I mean stupid questions. Mm-hmm. I was just in an engineering meeting for a hotel, and I asked the dumbest question ever. And I know everybody in the meeting was just like, 30 years in the business and you don't know the answer to that question? What? I did it, and I don't give a crap if anybody made fun of me. Because
how are we supposed to know everything anyway? Life is about continually learning.
Well, apparently, you know, you're supposed to. When you have a TV show, you're supposed to know everything. But my point, it was probably something I should have known, but I did it. And that's okay. Authenticity, transparency, and oh shit, I screwed up goes a long way.
Yeah, I love this. That Ben is a night auditor for 8 years in Bruges, Belgium, and he's seen lots of situations, but never shouts at guests, even if he has the urge to do it.
If you're
Good,
yelling at a guest, you have to go to you need therapy. You need
right?
therapy because like one of the things that people say to me is, don't you take when you take these hotels, don't you get really angry at the guests at the hotels just because I'm direct with them and I'm focused and maybe I even raise my voice a little bit and I'm almost shaking them. I'm not. I don't care. I care about them at that moment, but it's not my business. So why would I scream or swing at them? It's not my business.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's so that desk clerk, I mean, that desk agent dealing with a guest that's upset. Like this isn't like his problem isn't your problem. Like you got to try to resolve it. And if you can't, you've got to remove yourself from the situation or get somebody who can handle it.
That's right.
Elevating yourself to him is just showing your lack of discipline.
Yeah, very, very true. All right, we're getting close to being out of time for today. However, Anthony, I did want to report that the AHLA had a big win when it came to the per diem rate. So for those of you that don't know, the per diem rate is what the government pays to stay in hotels, et cetera. And that they were really afraid, Chip was talking about this morning, that was going to get lowered over the last couple of years. They successfully fought to maintain it at that $96 level. It's now gone up, and it doesn't sound like a lot, from $96 to $98, but that's a big deal, as it's gonna bring another $1 billion to the hospitality industry.
Right. And and that's really what helps maintain those lower rated properties, because when you're in New York City, per diem is probably like $160 or $170.
Right.
Because different cities they give you a little more. But those per diems really help those B and C markets stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And expenses are going up. So Glenn, would you be interested in me reading
Yes.
the introduction to my book?
I would love that before we get going. Absolutely.
Well, you know what? I would love to, but I can't read one of the sentences, so I'm going to have to skip.
Okay.
I'll read the first paragraph. Let's face it, you tend to show up more for others than you do for yourself. You go to an office every day to help someone else be a billionaire, even if it's crushing your entrepreneurial spirit. And then there's a line I can't read because the printer didn't work. You're quick to give your best friend relationship advice, but you're afraid to practice that same advice. It's one of the great mysteries of life that many people find it nearly impossible to show up for themselves, even if they know by doing that they can make a change. Studies have shown that 92% of people don't achieve their goals. This is an astonishing number considering what humans are capable of. I just put my microphone. Yeah. I believe people don't reach their goals because they either don't know how to show up for themselves or they're showing up for the wrong people in the wrong places. Having said that, this book is going to give you the practical tools you can use to start showing up for your life so that you can achieve your goals and live more authentically. And then and then I talk about the principles. There's 5 principles. So we're going to go into the principles. And what we do is we take the principles and we incorporate them into stories. So if I take a principle and we talk about authenticity, I don't just talk about what authenticity means because that's been killed. I show you through my own mistakes and through my own experiences how I showed up for myself, how I was authentic, and how sometimes it worked out for me and sometimes I got fired.
Yeah.
But it's your choice. And in the book, my favorite sentence in the whole book is, again, if you want to come to work 9 to 5, and that's what you want to do and you're successful at it, you don't have to be me. You don't have to be the guy that was willing to work 90 hours a week. I'm not better than you. I just want to do that. Not only I want to do it, if I don't do it, my personality, I will die.
Yeah, absolutely. Now listen, when the book comes out, maybe you should reach out to producer Dave and see if you could get scheduled as a guest to promote it. What do you think about that?
You think? No, what I'll do is once I get closer and it's done and it's final, I'll start reading.
Awesome.
I'll start reading little.
We can make a whole segment out of it and do it like every week or something. Yeah, that'd be really cool.
I was mumbling myself because I couldn't really read what I was writing with the paper, but I'm really happy with it. And better than anybody, I have been miserably unhappy with my book because I didn't know which direction I wanted. And my ghostwriter, co-writer, John Walcott, who's an amazing person, was able to take my brain and really make it the experiences with my principals and make it interesting. And like I said, my wife thought it was a good read, so that's all that matters to me.
That says everything. Listen, if the spouse supports you, you know you're doing well because they don't lie.
And I'm excited about it because I honestly, I could sell 100,000 books. I could sell one. I don't care. I just want that book on the shelf.
Totally, dude. Actually, as a matter of fact, when I helped write that book last year, it was really just about doing that. I didn't really care what the results were. I just wanted to prove to myself that I could actually do something.
It's seeing my name on a book is it would be pretty cool. So anyway, but it's really, I think it's very helpful in not one size fits all. What bothers me the most in my career is when somebody who's is an overachiever and who is that person that's just catapulting to the top, and they're going to be running something very shortly.
Yep.
And that's the standard. No, that's not the standard. The standard is the goal of the operation, and so we all get there differently. And if you need to have different expectations, that's fine. But we can't make that person who's the overachiever the standard. That's not the standard.
Yeah, right.
The standard is working towards the goal in the most efficient way possible. And we all bring different skills to that. And it always bothers me. It always bothers me when people when people think they have to be that overachiever. You just have to focus on the goal and the task at hand. What was that comment?
Let's have her put it back up. All right. Sarthak is saying, sorry, Aunt, that was my fault. I'm putting it back up, Suzanne. Nope. Her hands are off the thing. All right. Would be nice to read it when it comes out. Bravo, Anthony. So,
well, hope it would be nice. Better read it. I would like you to personally submit an order for 1,000 books. See, if I can get one person to do 100,000 books, then I'm done.
That's a good idea. I like that. And I will say, Sarthak is CEO of Creative Exchange. They're helping pair musicians with hotels in order to help everybody make more money and find more success. There's a lot more to it, but I'm joining their advisory board as well. So I wanted to mention that. So excited.
So as much as I said I'm happy with the book, these are all my edits.
Sora is saying, do you have a name yet? Because every week it's different. Do you have an official one?
Glenn is tired of hearing me saying I have a name because I change it every time. Show up for yourself. You weren't born to be a bystander.
That's cool.
That is the official working title.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And I'll tell you what. We can't depend on the title of his book, but we can depend on great sites like Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, that houses the audio version of our show. If you're watching us now, want to walk the dog, go for some exercise, take us along for the walk, download that. If you are listening to us, why not watch us? Find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, NoVacancyNews.com. And of course, reach out to us. He's at Anthony Hotels. I'm at Traveling Glenn. Any final thoughts? No, thank you. It was fun. I like when you ask a question and I hit the ceiling and just go off. This was great. I really enjoyed today's show very, very much. Hope all of you out there did too. And remember, you've only got one life, so blaze on and be kind to yourself. See you all next week. Bye. So do you want to name my book, Glenn?